We continue to remember the life and legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson. And as we saw today, it wasn't just Reverend Jackson's family who honored the civil rights icon. 3 former presidents and other big political leaders recalled just how Jackson shaped their lives as well.
Political reporter Mary Ann Ahern has been here all day with the coverage and joins us with some of the takeaways that we had from the ceremony today. Mary Ann?
It was quite an education. Yes, it was. There were just so many touching remembrances. Let's start with former President Barack Obama. So many have noted without Reverend Jackson, the Obama presidency might not have happened.
But he paved the road for so many others to follow. Doug Wilder became the first elected black governor. Carol Moseley Braun went to the U.S. Senate. Because of Jesse, the Democratic Party changed its rules, ending the winner-take-all distribution of delegates during presidential primaries, which meant underdogs and outsiders like Bill Clinton or Bernie Sanders could stay competitive and build momentum instead of getting knocked out early. And it was because of that path that he had laid, because of his courage, his audacity, that 2 decades later, a young black senator from Chicago's South Side would even be taken seriously as a candidate for the presidential nomination.
Yes, Obama credited seeing Jesse Jackson run for president as well as Harold Washington's campaign. And that was what drove him to Chicago to work as a community organizer. Also speaking today, former President Bill Clinton and former President Joe Biden. Clinton spoke of their friendship and how he relied on Jackson's advice when he was at the White House.
He made me a better president when I got in office, because he was always pushing on things, and he knew that change came from the outside in and sometimes from the inside out.
President Biden said that Jackson refused to let him and other elected officials sort of off the hook, not just as a party, but as a nation and as individuals.
That meant many phone calls, which we know were coming in again and again. Chicago, of course, so well represented at this service where Jackson really was, as it said, the center of his power for all those decades. What was Mayor Brandon Johnson's message? Because he also spoke during the ceremony.
A passionate message today. The mayor reflected on what it was like to go with Reverend Jackson to Alabama for a Selma memorial. Johnson had said that despite the animosity that took place on that bridge during the civil rights movement, it should not be forgotten in the struggles today.
When I think of Selma and that storied march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, I know that Reverend Jackson knew exactly how much wickedness and hatred waited for them on that bridge. Beaten, abused, intimidated, they marched anyway. They bore the cross because they understood that on the other side of the bridge, his instinct said there's a win. And see, in America, we find ourselves at a bridge, and we are confronted in this moment. And that bridge is now described as borders, where borders get to determine how human dignity is determined by which side of the border you live on. He understood the bridge.
Also speaking today, former Vice President Kamala Harris. We did not hear from Congressman Joey Garcia, perhaps tomorrow, when they did have to cut short the rest of the program today.
Definitely a lot of politicians in the audience as well. We heard of Governor Newsom, Governor
Wes
Moore from Maryland.
Pete Buttigieg.
A lot of folks. It was like the place to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Former presidents and those who might like to be president.
Right. That says a lot about who Reverend Jackson was.
Right.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. Really appreciate it.